Today's leadership quality is called charisma. Charisma is the ability to make others feel good about themselves more than them feeling good about you. And what that really means would come with a great example of probably the most charismatic person I met and one of the greatest men to influence me, and that was Mr. Burke Breen. He was my junior football coach, 1 year art teacher, 1 year homeroom teacher. And every time you were in a conversation with Mr. Breen, when you left the conversation, you realized you did all the talking and he sat and listened. He understood the concept of two ears and one mouth, and he really sat back and was intrigued by what you had to say and only asked questions to dig further into the conversation. So one of the exercises to build your charisma is to have a conversation with someone and really focus in on the words that they are saying. I mean, sometimes you get into conversations and you're just looking for the in, something they say that you have in common with them so that you can now talk. That's not charisma as in the way that Burke Breen would do it. He would truly listen to the whole conversation and only ask questions when he thought he wanted to learn more. And I said, every time I left meeting with Mr. Breen, I really felt whole and pure about myself because, he just let me talk and he asked about me and made me feel good about me. And that made him such a great leader. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Breen passed when I was in the offense coordinator at Queens, and he was a quarterback coach. And I've always thought a true value of a man is how many people show up to his funeral. And when we went to Mr. Breen's wake, it was endless. The people were all the way down the street and all walks of life. This man, no matter who he talked to, who he met up with, gave that same feeling of belief in yourself because of the way the conversations went with him. And, for that reason, he was one of the men that I always wanted to emulate. So, as I said, exercise one is to have a great conversation with somebody and really focus in on what they're saying and not worry about trying to tell them about yourself, but more to learn about them more. Okay. And then the other part, which really is an interesting value too, comes from this great book. Okay, the 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. Okay, this is a great leadership book. It's where I get a lot of my ideas for these Monday leadership sessions. And he talks about putting a 10 on people's heads. Is when you have a first impression and you first meet somebody, really go in with a positive on them. Consider that person to be a 10 and look to see if you can find out what qualities are good in them rather than really worrying about what's not great in them. You can be a negative. You can be a negative person who's just always looking for the bad in people. To be charismatic, you're always looking for the good. So as he says, walk into the conversation and look at somebody and look at them as a 10 and be excited to learn more about them.